Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is the 22nd part of What If Deku Was Sanji's Reincarnation, My Heroes Reborn. The author of this great fanfic is Emma. I believe links to them and original story in the description. Chapter 22, Frozen Taiyaki. Izuku was not having an easy time. He knew that someone that All Might was afraid of, even if he was a little old man, would not be trifled with. He just wished that it wasn't doing the figure-it-out/troll shtick. Granted, nothing could ever be worse than that training. But still, deciding to take into account what he needed to hear and what he needed to learn and try to use it to practice jumps in the middle of the night probably wasn't his smartest move, but still. The next morning Gran Torino found Izuku looking pretty beaten up. "What happened to you?" asked Gran Torino. "Tried to put your advice into practice last night, didn't work out," said Izuku. "Well, it is training. Don't expect to get it on your first try," said Gran Torino. Then again, All Might was a natural at it, and he had that body going for him. All Might as a student. "What was he like?" asked Izuku. "Really, you want to hear about that?" asked Gran Torino. "He might not be a good teacher, but I still greatly admire him," said Izuku. "I learned in my past life that you can admire someone but still acknowledge their faults. There are many faults." Izuku had a haunted look in his eyes as he said that last part. "I don't want to know, do I?" asked Gran Torino. "No, you do not," sighed Izuku. "Well, we focused mainly on combat training," explained Gran Torino. "That explains why he's so scared," thought Izuku. "I couldn't hold back one bit. I had sworn to a dear friend who had just passed away," said Gran Torino. "All Might predecessor? Can you tell me about the guy?" asked Izuku. However, before anything else could be said, there was a knock on the door. "Package delivery." "I'll go get it," said Izuku. He left to sign for the package while Gran Torino realized that All Might never told Izuku about his predecessor. Turned out the package was a microwave. "Yeah, turned out my old one broke somehow," said Gran Torino. "It's way too hard to know if he's being serious or not," thought Izuku. "Now that is here, you can cook up what I got yesterday," said Gran Torino. "What you got was frozen taiyaki," muttered Izuku. "What? I like to enjoy the finer things in life?" asked Gran Torino. "You are aware thanks to my past life I'm a master chef, right?" asked Izuku with a sweat drop. "Whatever," said Gran Torino. Izuku didn't know how to respond to that. And so he had to microwave the frozen taiyaki. As he did, he counted to think more about his problem with his quirk. "It would be easier if I was born with a quirk. Everyone else is 10 years ahead on me on that front. Not to mention it would be so much easier if I had eaten a devil fruit in my past life," he thought. Once they were done, he brought over the plate to Gran Torino. "Nothing like taiyaki," he said. He took a bite and it was still frozen. "I thought you were a master chef. How is still frozen?" he yelled out. "I don't use the microwave to cook. Also, microwaves didn't exist in my past life," said Izuku, glaring at the old man while in Sanji mode. "The place you used was too big. It wasn't able to spin," said Gran Torino. "Don't you know that when that happens only one part of it get hot?" "Okay, that is my bad," said Izuku, blushing. "Ours is the type that doesn't spin." "Yeah." If he knew that the plate wouldn't have been able to spin, he would have taken out the taiyaki midway through and manually spun it. Just saying, knowing from experience, though kind of microwaves suck. However, that was when something hit Izuku. "I get it now. I'm a taiyaki," he said. Gran Torino stared at Izuku. "I heard that you incarnates weren't all the way there," he muttered. "What?" asked Izuku. "Just something some people call victims of that quirk," said Gran Torino. Izuku sighed and knew it had to explain. I realized that I can't just use it like a switch. It's not like hockey or diable jam. I have to fill my whole body with it. He explained. He began to channel one for all through his entire body. Gran Torino watched, proud at how quickly he able to figure it out. As he did, the red lines appeared, soon they disappeared and a green spark of energy surrounded him. Visualizing taiyaki in a microwave is a pretty boring way to do it, said Gran Torino. That's what All Might said about my egg metaphor, said Izuku. I think food might have been ingrained into my soul before getting my past life memories. You think you can move that way? Asked Gran Torino. I have no idea, said Izuku. Then let's see, said Gran Torino. Do you think you can hold it? I think so, said Izuku. Good, then 3 minutes will do it, said Gran Torino, taking out a stopwatch. 3 minutes for what? Asked Izuku. To get a good smash in, said Gran Torino. Remember, no pirate tricks. Gran Torino began to speed around the room, hitting Izuku and breaking his concentration. He tried to build it up again, but it still didn't work as Gran Torino hit again. If I was able to use hockey, then I'd be able to fight back, thought Izuku, but if I have a few seconds. Then he noticed there was a room under the couch and he crawled there. I can still see you, said Gran Torino. That's not going to work. Right when he was about to attack the couch, Izuku kicked the couch, allow time for him to channel it through his whole body. Izuku quickly jumped into the air and tried to kick him, however Gran Torino dodged thanks to his speed. That's not good enough, taunted Gran Torino. However, Izuku quickly turned around midair and managed to kick Gran Torino in the face, sending him hard to the floor. Okay. I might have misjudged your fight style, said Gran Torino in a slight daze. I'm sorry, cried Izuku. It's okay, I was the one underestimating what you could do, said Gran Torino. Wait, you didn't use any of your pirate tricks, did you? No, just the fighting style I learned in my past life, said Izuku. Wait, that doesn't count, does it? I won't count it, said Gran Torino. Izuku breathed a sigh of relief. We have a lot of training to do, said Gran Torino, but still there's something we have to do. What? Asked Izuku. We haven't eaten yet, said Gran Torino, so why don't you put the taiyaki back into the microwave and... Turned out during the fight it was knocked to the floor. He was going to blame Izuku, however the green-haired boy had gone into Sanji mode, glared at him harshly and told him, don't blame me for this, you're the one bouncing around the room like a madman. Gran Torino wasn't quite sure how to respond. I'm going shopping and getting us real food, said Izuku. Trust me, you'll thank me. He ran towards the nearest store. Once he slipped out of Sanji mode, he was ecstatic. After all, now he could control his quirk. Meanwhile, Achiko was in a training room at Hana's agency. The night before, Achiko has called Hibiki. Flashback. You really shouldn't have her dump her problems on you, said Hibiki. The best way is to get her mind off everything for the time being. How do I do that? Asked Achiko. Training's probably a good idea. She's occultly very good with combining her old set of skills that she hadn't lost with her quirk, so you might be able to have her help with that, said Hibiki, considering that's your biggest problem right now. I guess that's a good point, said Achiko. End of flashback. So from what you told me, said Hana, holding a large training sword and a large shield, you use certain palm strikes to force an energy you can use anymore into your opponent, right? And your quirk requires your fingers. So the best way to do it so to create a new fighting style with those palm strikes. Achiko nodded. All right. So your goal with his is to strike me, said Rosewater. Achiko nodded and ran towards her. Rosewater not only blocked with her shield. Then the shield opened up, spraying water towards her. Achiko managed to dodge as roses sprouted from the ground. You didn't know about my quirk, said Rosewater. It's called watering can. I can produce a water that causes any flowering to glow in an instant. Achiko almost got distracted as she had to dodge a sword strike. You might have been a ninja in your past life, but I lived hundreds of your lifetimes in mine, said Rosewater. You don't really have to brag like that, said Achiko. Sorry, sighed Rosewater, becoming depressed. Don't become depressed, yelled Achiko in shock. Meanwhile, with Toru and Yuzu, they were just chatting. Okay. I think we had different tastes in comedy, said Yuzu. Yeah, I kind of figured that, said Toru, but in my past life I kind of embodied laughter. Wait, how does that work? Asked Yuzu. Well, it's a long story, said Toru. Meanwhile, with Bakugo, his eye was twitching. The good news was that his choice in Best Jeanist would help him on his goal of becoming a better person. The bad news is that goal was a lower priority for the hero, as he decided to give him something of a makeover. I combed down his hair. I want to be a better person on the inside, not the outside, yelled Bakugo. But the outside will help, said Best Jeanist as his sidekicks praised Bakugo's new look. Though thankfully his hair couldn't be tamed that easily. Meanwhile, with Momo and Shuko, who was wearing a light yellow dress with matching sun hat, she didn't really have a costume but a look. They both stared two things. One of a stack of empty cake boxes and the other was a giant pile of candy wrappers. I think we both have some self-control issues, said Shuko. Well, my quirk works better the more I eat, said Momo. Keep telling yourself that, said Shuko. But it's true, said Momo. I'm just teasing you, giggled Shuko. They both turned to the garbage. So you want to go on patrol again, said Shuko. You just want to go on a snack run, said Momo. Once again, a legitimate reason why Mashareos wasn't shown. At the bar that the League of Villain used, Stain had Shigaraki pinned to the ground. Kurogiri was unable to move while Priestess just watched from the sidelines, more interested in her drink that Kurogiri made her before he became paralyzed. Priestess just rolled her eyes every few minutes as they bickered. Are you two done yet? Asked Priestess, because I don't think Stain should join. Nice to know that we're on the same page, said Shigaraki. Kurogiri, get rid of him. Please reconsider, this man would be a great asset if he were to join us, said Kurogiri. He's just a worse version of me with a smaller body count, said Priestess. Kurogiri glared at the Villainous. You don't honestly believe that, said Kurogiri. Life is precious, said Priestess, however he snuffs out all those he considers unworthy. While I know that I'm in the minority when it comes to villains who see it that way. Besides, I can tell he's as stubborn as they come. He shouldn't be forced to join if he doesn't want to. She's right, I have no plans on joining. Now return me to Hosu, there's still several false heroes that I need to take out, said Stain. With that, Stain was returned back to Hosu. The next day, Izuku was counting his training with Gran Torino. This time had allowed Izuku to use observation haki but not armament or dialable jam. Izuku managed to dodge an attack and aimed a kick for him, however Gran Torino managed to dodge this time. Okay. I think that's enough, said Gran Torino, put on your costume, we're going to onto phase 2. He got into his costume and they left the agency. All right. I hope you're ready, said Gran Torino, we're going out to fight some villains. What, really? Asked Izuku. If you fight just again me, said Gran Torino. Wait, never mind, forgot, pirate past life memories, I don't really need to explain. I guess not, sighed Izuku, but I've only been getting used to this. Look, you can pull out the stops when we fight villains, said Gran Torino. If you think that's a good idea, said Izuku. Gran Torino hailed a cab. Wait, where are we going? Asked Izuku. There isn't that much crime around here, said Gran Torino, so we're going to Shibuya. Wait. Shibuya, as in Tokyo? Asked Izuku. I don't know if that's a good idea. There's plenty of fights we'll be able to break up, said Gran Torino. Also a ton of tourists who will want to take pictures of me, said Izuku. Then he started blushing. But then again, cute girls, he said, going to love mode. There's something wrong with you, said Gran Torino. I know, sighed Izuku, snapping out of it. Wait, does that mean we'll be taking the bullet train to Shinjuku? Why yes, said Gran Torino. Then we'll pass by Hosu City. Maybe I should message Ida, thought Izuku. Sometime later in Hosu, Stain was overlooking the city. That was Shigaraki, followed by Priestess, arrived through a warp. I'm just here so that two don't try to kill each other again, muttered Priestess. You're only saying that because you hate me, said Stain. Don't be ridiculous, said Priestess. I hate both of you equally. Get it through your heads. Just ignore her, muttered Shigaraki. She's just going to tune us out again. Oh, look, that beautiful sunset, said Priestess in a rather snide way, as if to annoy them. Priestess, will you stop that? Asked Kurogiri, who had followed them. She did once again tune the two out as the two argued, with Stain leaving, with Kurogiri still thinking that Stain should join them, pointing out that his methods brought down crime where he attacked. Priestess was right, he is a worse version of her. At least when she makes a hero stronger, it's an accident. But when he does it, it's intentional, said Shigaraki. Yet you allow Priestess join, said Kurogiri. She makes things interesting, even if they're a lot alike. Plus she's just as annoyed with him as I am, so there are times where agree on things, said Shigaraki. Oh, that's so sweet of you, said Priestess. You want to see him crushed too, don't you? Asked Shigaraki. You know my policy on life, said Priestess, but I wouldn't mind seeing him get maimed most. Kurogiri, bring out the Nomu, said Shigaraki. Kurogiri created a warp gate, and not one Nomu, which wasn't the thing's name but rather what they were called, came through the warp gate. Shigaraki began to monologuing about killing Stain with the Nomu, with Priestess rolling her eyes at the monologue. Sometime later on the bullet train, as it neared Hosu, Izuku realized something. Wait, we're not going to get there until pretty late, said Izuku. That's why I picked there will less tourists and more skirmishes, said Gran Torino. It will much more fun. Izuku sighed at that. Then decided to check his cell phone to see if Ida sent a message back. But he didn't. This left Izuku worried. However, that was when people on the train started panicking. Did you see that building explode? Asked one of them. No way, said another. What's the ruckus? Asked Gran Torino. Please hold on, said a voice. Then the train practically exploded. A pro-hero laid injured on the floor as one of the Nomus was attacking him. What is that thing? Asked Izuku. That was when he had flashes of memoirs, while they were a little blurry. But it was of the Nomu from the USJ. Hey kid, are you okay? Asked Gran Torino. I remembered something from that day, said Izuku. Gran Torino knew what he was talking about. He remembered more from the USJ. Stay here, said Gran Torino. Gran Torino knew he had to fight the Nomu, and he tackled him out of the train and into a building. Gran Torino! He yelled out in shock. However, he saw an explosion in the distance and realized something was very wrong. Meanwhile, with Toru, she was baking some cupcakes at the house she was staying with Yuzu when she froze. Hey, what's wrong? Said Yuzu. Oh, it's nothing at all, said Toru. However, inside she was seething. He broke his promise. She thought in anger, once I get the cupcakes out of the oven, he'll pay. Something weird is going on, thought Yuzu with a sweat drop. Back with Izuku, the train had stopped, while a police officer was telling everyone to remain calm and go back to their seats. Izuku left. From what I remember, I was able to hold my own against that thing at the USJ. He thought. He began to skywalk towards where he saw where Gran Torino and the Nomu go in their fight. With full cowling along with everything I have, I should be able to beat that thing, thought Izuku as he skywalked towards the city. However, what Izuku didn't know was that Nomu was going to be the least of his problems, not when one of his closest friends was in grave danger, a danger that he himself got into. That will be it for this part. I hope everyone enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and comment if you want part 23. If you want to hear more from me, subscribe. I hope to see you all in the next one.